Angel Reese, though. What I found most interesting about this list is where ESPN ranks their face of the league. Unfortunately for Angel Reese, the polish seems to be melting off the turd. ESPN has tried to convince us that Angel Reese is the face of the WNBA. Not only is the matriarch of Me Bounce the face of the league, according to the media, Angel Reese is the most dominant basketball player in the world.
The Angel Reese narrative was meant to be straightforward. Instant star, media darling, unstoppable climb. Discussion over at ESPN revealed a ranking that felt like someone surreptitiously changed the script without anyone noticing. She's touted as the WNBA's future. The next moment she's sitting where admirers are asking an unexpected question. To talk.
Angel Reese, Atlanta Dream debut. Of course we covered it, but I didn't make a video. You know, it's a lot of videos I didn't get a chance to make because I've been busy. But yeah, we here. So make sure y'all tap that like button, hype the video, share it, all the good things, man. My takeaways were Angel Reese fit right in. She's exactly what the Atlanta Dream needed.
What causes a league face to become just another name? Please like and subscribe before continuing because you don't want to miss this. The oddest element about the circumstance is that for the first time, the illusion finally collapsed. In a way that even regular viewers could not ignore.
You're wondering, Angel Reese, still not good from the field. 3 for 7, 10 points. I mean, good God Almighty. Not good. By the way, Mystics defeated the Dream. Defeated the Dream. That was ugly. No doubt about it. Speaking of ugly, let's just address this. When does lame-ass Atlanta Dream fix the lighting and change?
Because when the list released and people searched for Angel Reese, no top 5 superstar was found. They did not even discover a top 10 centerpiece. And what they found instead revealed a much greater narrative than any article ever could.
Rocket science to see that since her arrival and the rest of that 2024 class, the WNBA has skyrocketed.
Finally! We have a WNBA player willing to admit that Caitlin Clark is the reason for the elevation of pretend basketball into the mainstream. Finally, we have a WNBA player willing to admit Caitlin Clark is the reason that they are no longer
taking minimum. Here is the painful truth that has been rumbling about for months. Quietly increasing pressure, like a shaken Coke can. And the moment that list came out, it blasted everywhere at once. Okay, of course, Angel Reese, she was giving Lauren Best the business. Okay, but Angel Reese, I see her frustration in this. Gamed, I really want Angel Reese to stop trying to shoot through defenders. She kept eating up the floor and it was making me so upset because I'm like, I don't want her to risk any injury. She gets the ball blocked from whoever, and she just boom. You just see Angel Reese just continue to just repeatedly just fall on the ground, fall on her knees, fall on her lower back. Okay, that's her tailbone. For over 2 years, fans were assured that Angel Reese was not just star, but the star, the face, the centerpiece, the engine driving the whole WNBA into a new era of importance. And yet, when it came time for a major network to really rate impact, productivity, and value, that narrative suddenly lost its conviction. And that is where things start becoming weird. Because if someone is truly the face of a league, you do not need to inform people every 5 minutes. And you surely do not rank them under the top 20 while silently hoping nobody notices. Now, overlay that with something even more telling, something that happened before the rankings even appeared. Something that didn't require the analytics, discussions, or hot opinions to expose what was truly going on. The stadium, the first game, the lies as turnout. And when folks showed up for that opening stretch and saw more bare seats than fans, it posed a question nobody wanted to answer out loud. What precisely are we being sold here? And more than that, who are we hearing to believe in? Because at the same time that those empty stadia were making their rounds online, Another reality was emerging sitting right in front of everyone. And it was one that had been clear for a long, but kept getting put aside. The Atlanta Dream ended up besting the Chicago Sky. And I want to talk about Angel Reese's performance overall. In the box score, it looks like she did pretty good. 8.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, but she went 2 for 7 field goal percentage, shooting 28% from the field and 4 of 8 from the free throw, 50% on free throws. Alright. Angel Reese is still doing Angel Reese things as she missed wide open shots, things that she should have made, she didn't make. We have always known this, but speaking it out loud used to come with penalties since the instant you pointed out what was happening, you were blamed of everything, but really being wrong. And yet here we are, because as the league battled to fill seats in some spots, one name kept doing the exact opposite, pulling attention, pulling viewership, sucking energy in a way that felt almost unfair against everyone else. That name, of course, is Caitlin Clark. Now, here's where the argument normally turns sticky because people automatically assume this is about selecting sides, but it is not. It is about acknowledging something that has become tough to ignore. Since Caitlin Clark stepped into ticket demand skyrocketed in certain markets, national broadcasts suddenly turned into must-watch events instead of background noise. And for the first time in an extended period of time, the WNBA was not simply being talked, it was being debated, talked about, studied, music, and most importantly, seen. That is not an accident. That is the impact. And here is when the ESPN ranking gets more than just a list. Because lists are intended to reflect reality, even when they are controversial. And what the current ranking demonstrated was not simply disagreement, but a mismatch between narrative and truth. Control the paint. Andrew is going to do that. Did look nervous though. She did look a little bit timid. It was kind of emotional being back in Chicago. She got a lot of love, by the way. Though, if there's any narratives out there that Chicago don't love Angel, it's definitely not true because the city of Chicago was still cheering for her. They gave her a standing ovation. And I think they showed a tribute. They gave her a tribute, if I'm not mistaken. I think they could have said that. For a record season. Because if you look through that list and see players rated higher of Caitlin Clark, players who do not move the needle in the same manner, players whose games do not attract the same degree of attention, you start to realize something very quickly. And the reasoning behind it is even more telling because when you remove away the terminology and the framework, what is ultimately being communicated is that Angel Reese excels in a very specific area. Rebounds, hustle plays, effort, contributions that matter but do not define a franchise. In other terms, a role player. Now, that is hardly an insult. Despite how it would sound in the current context, everybody is thinking the resentment. Because when one player becomes the undeniable center of attention, especially in a league seeking to grow, it causes friction, not only among fans, but among narratives that were created before that player arrived. Caitlin Clark disrupted all of it. Not gradually, not gently, immediately.